Hello everyone, Princess Alethea Kontis here, again with Princess Tempest. Today we're going to rant about the Grimm's fairy tale. No, not the Grimm's fairy tale.
Well, there is a Grimm's version.
We're going to rant about the fairy tale, Little Red Riding Hood. Now, I'm gonna let Tempest take the lead on this one because, I'll be honest with you, Little Red Riding Hood is probably my least favorite fairy tale. Take it away, Tempest!
Just how can that be your least favorite fairy tale? It's a great fairy tale, especially when you learn how dirty it is. Summary. Most of you know the story of Little Red Riding Hood, or you think you know it. I'm gonna blow your mind a little bit with some facts about Little Red Riding Hood. Most of the versions, they do start with Little Red, or Little Miss Redcap, or whatever you call her. She's known for wearing like this red thing, whether it's like a hood, riding hood
So
business.
not red. Don't
not
like
red.
fairy tale.
Or it's like a velvet cap or whatever, and she's all like, la la, I'm awesome. Everybody loves her because she's super sweet and nice and all. Her grandmother loves her a whole bunch. And so her mom is like, here, take this basket full of good things, and the good things change in the different versions, and take it to your grandmother because she is feeling sickly. Riding Hood is like, okay, and she toddles off to do that. Grandma's house is like usually half an hour away, you know, it's not very far. She goes into the woods, and then she comes upon a wolf. The wolf is all like, I gotta eat that little girl. So the thing is that the different versions either explain or don't explain why the wolf doesn't just eat her right there. In some versions it's like, well, he doesn't want to eat her right there because there's some woodcutters that are nearby, and so they might interrupt him, and he doesn't want that. And plus they're woodcutters, and who wants them?
Hey!
Some versions are like, well, it's a really public road that she's on because it's well traveled, and so he can't just drag her off the public road because he would be like, what happened to that girl who was wearing all that bright red? Instead, he tricks her into telling him where she's going and what she's doing, and then he's like, oh, well, I'm gonna go this way and you go that way and we'll see who gets there first. He distracts her by being like, but look at all these pretty flowers, maybe you should pick some for your grandma. Either way, like whatever way he does it, he gets to grandma's house first. He knocks on the door, fools grandma, goes on in and just eats her. He's like, ah. In some sanitized versions, he puts her in the closet, but really, we all know that he's a hungry wolf and he ate grandma. He just did it. So then, he puts on grandma's clothes and he gets in the bed and he waits for Little Red to show up. She comes in and she's like, whoa, what's going on here? I'm really hoarse because I'm sick, but come on, get in the bed, let's go. Now, here's where I find Red Riding Hood gets really interesting, because, and this is where a lot of the different versions diverge. In some versions, he says to Little Red, come on in here, child, and take off that Red Riding Hood and just throw it in the fire. You're not going to need it. Okay, take off that, shirt that you have on. Throw it in the fire. You're not going to need it. Take off your skirt. Throw it in the fire. You're not going to need it.
Grandma!
Because first of all, why would she even think that her grandma would say that to her? That's some expensive clothing, and these people are not rich.
Grandma probably made that sweater.
Exactly. Why does she even fall for that? The wolf gets her naked and then tells her to get in the bed. Then the wolf eats her. Let's talk about this, because it seems like, especially in the version where he makes her take off all her clothes and throw it in the fire because she's not going to need it anymore, like this is all very sexually suggestive, right?
Or it could just be he wants to peel the banana before eating it.
He's a wolf. He gobbled grandma all up.
That is true.
He was just like, honk. And then, in other versions where they're cut out of the wolf, he swallowed them whole. So it's like, he doesn't seem to care. The whole thing where he's like, take off your clothes, and he's a smooth talker, is sort of a metaphor. It's a parable about sexuality. I will read you now a quote from Mr. Charles Perrault, who is one of the first people to actually write this version of the story down, about the moral of this story. In his version, this is where the story ends. She gets in the bed, wolf eats her, done.
Really? The woodcutter doesn't come to save him or anything?
Not in this version.
Ooh.
From this story, one learns that children, especially young lasses, pretty, courteous, and well-bred, do very wrong to listen to strangers. It is not an unheard thing if the wolf is thereby provided with his dinner. I say wolf, for all the wolves are not the same sort. There is one kind with an amenable disposition, neither noisy nor hateful nor angry, but tame, obliging, and gentle, following the young maids in the streets, even into their homes. Alas, who does not know that these gentle wolves are of such creatures the most dangerous?
That's creepy.
So this is a super early version of Stranger Danger.
Yes.
Number one. And it's also Charles Perrault being like, ladies, those dudes catcalling you in the street, don't let them follow you home. Don't talk to them. Don't fall for their smooth shenanigans.
Don't get in the free candy van.
Nope, because they will come for you, and then bad things ensue in a bed. He's trying really hard to just be like, ladies, please don't get sexually assaulted. He's also putting it on the ladies. You know, he's like, these girls should not be letting these dudes whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like,
they are wolves at heart.
Right. And so I'm like, that's the Charles Perrault version. Other versions, like, I think the Grimm's version does include, like, a hunter or a woodcutter comes along, and he's like, that snoring doesn't sound like grandma. And so he just busts up in the house, and he's like, there's a wolf in the bed, and the wolf is asleep. He cuts the wolf open. Little Red Riding Hood and the girl pop out there.
Yes!
Yay!
Yes, because in the Grimm's fairy tales, the wolves eat things whole.
Yes.
As we know from The Wolf and the Seven Kids. And sometimes they just get slit open and everybody pops out just fine.
Right? You know, no, digestive tracts are for other creatures and not wolves. They fill up the wolf's stomach with stones, and they sew him back up. And then when he wakes up, he's like, what? My stomach is full of stones! And he falls over and he's dead. And then they skin him and everybody's happy. That's the Grimm version. But Charles Perrault was like, no. The wolf wins. Stranger danger. Don't be messing with no wolves. It's interesting that even though there are a lot of people who actually have grown up with the Grimm's version where Little Red and her grandmother get saved, people still see the sexual overtones of what's going on in this story. There's actually a song that was written in 1925 and published in 1926 called How Could Little Red Riding Hood. It is the first known song to be banned from the radio for sexually suggestive lyrics.
Tempest has been singing this song all morning, so I'm going to have it stuck in my head all of the way to the Nova Teen Book Festival.
That's
Tempest,
right.
I think you should enlighten us with this song, this amazing song that you've been singing.
All right.
So beautifully.
2, 3, 4. How could Red Riding Hood have been so very good and still keep the wolf from the door? Father and mother, she had none, so where in the world did the money come from? Please let me ask it, who filled her basket? The storybooks never tell. They say that she was a maid most discreet, and there is no doubt she must have been sweet. But you know, and I know, that sweet girls must eat. How could Red Riding Hood have been so very good and still keep the wolf from the door? Woo! As you can see, the 1920s people were like, what? You just called Red Riding Hood a prostitute? Banned from the radio. I have lots of feelings about Red Riding Hood. I feel like it's still an awesome story. I think the Charles Perrault version is the better version. Sometimes the wolf wins.
I think people should have feelings about fairy tales. I would love to know what your feelings are about this fairy tale. Please feel free to put your feelings in the comments below. Thank you so much, Tempest, our amazing songstress, for delighting us with that lovely band rendition of How Could Red Riding Hood. Thank you for joining us for another of Princess Alethea and Princess Tempest's Fairy Tale Rants. We will see you next week. Love you guys.
She's all like, la la, I'm awesome.